Well, hello and welcome back to the Andrew Eborn Show with me, Andrew Eborn, and the wonderful radio laureate himself, Mike Read. How you doing, Mike?
I'm very good. One thing I've noticed that since I first met you a long time ago, that your shoulders have got smaller. I'm not sure whether that's an operation you've been in to say, could you make my shoulders smaller? I'm too butch. Or whether they just shrunk. I don't know.
Well, it could be, and I could shrink, you see. I could go all the way down here and then sort of grow sort of magically. I guess that sort of works on that sort of principle as well,
I
doesn't
think
it?
that's it. I think the closer you get, the bigger your face looks, the smaller your shoulders look. I think that's what it is.
I think that's right, because here I can have enormous shoulders. It's going to be good. You see, the whole world rests on these shoulders.
I can help you because I know you're totally unaware of how you look, so I can help you here. It's okay. I can help you.
Well, that's the thing. We had to cover up all the mirrors in the house. It's rather like vampires. So I've got no idea. It's got to be a thrill. And talking about confessions and no idea what's going on. Wonderful. What was the inspiration for today's poem?
Yeah, this one I thought Bill and Ben were trending, I think, and Andy Pandy. So there's something going on with kids TV, and I thought I better confess. This is a chance for me to write a cathartic poem and spill the beans and fess up at last about masterminding major criminal activity a few years ago. I didn't do it in the end, like some other people I know who were done for major criminal stuff. They didn't actually do it, but because they thought about doing it, they were done. So I thought I'd just come clean before anybody got on my trail and went, excuse me, about those two marionettes many years ago. I thought I'd own up.
Wonderful. Well, we'll hear the confession. We'll chat a bit more afterwards. For you, for now, Radio Laureate, the confession.
Welcome to the Radio Laureate's Poetic Session, this morning in the form of a belated confession. This is not cathartic because I'm not bereft, but I masterminded a major theft. I know it seems beyond belief, but the theft I planned was for comic relief. I had knowledge, inside information, that at the BBC, not the radio station, were two unique icons of children's TV, and I had plans for them, you see. For I, in my wisdom, had discovered that they were locked inside a cupboard in a building now demolished down at White City. But I hadn't a key to the lock, more's the pity. So I needed an accomplice for my evil deed, and someone said, yes, I'll help, Mike Read. We will aid you in your dastardly plan, but if it all goes wrong, you can carry the can. So he opened the cupboard up, and then there were the original Bill and Ben. Those two icons, the flower pot men. Little did they know what was in store for them. I'd written a PR press release to deliver to the BBC and the police that Bill and Ben had gone on the run and the Beeb had lost their favourite sons. I planned to take snaps of them at number 10, at the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben, at Buckingham Palace and Madame Tussauds, at Wembley, Wimbledon and at Lord's. Then I'd send a ransom note to those BBC bosses with the photos, saying Bill and Ben may come to grief if the viewers don't cough up for comic relief. But my accomplice got cold feet, so the flower pot men never hit the street. But if they ever should, don't blame little Weed, but that criminal mastermind they call Mike Read.
Hey, I love it. I used to love Bill and Ben. It was wonderful stuff. It was that sort of simplicity, wasn't it? 1952 it started, and always around the time sort of Muffin the Mule and all these sort of glorious characters. Watch with Mother, I think that's how it all started, wasn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think kids were probably more naive then. I mean, TV was pretty newer as well, so it was something that a lot of families, I guess, didn't have television, so it was new for a lot of kids. It's like, wow, like children now get fixed to Xboxes or something. Kids were probably transfixed to this, and I think they had certain times then, didn't they? I mean, now kids watch TV all day, whatever, Netflix, whatever, But then it was children's TV was a specific time that people would sit down and watch, and all these characters. When you look at them now, you can see the strings, they're a bit cardboardy and what have you. So I think kids put up with a lot more then than they would now. They'd be straight in there now and go, oh, that's rubbish, I can see the strings, that's really uncool, But then I think people just put up with them, and they were a bit of fun and of the time. I mean, I've never been one to go back and criticize history of any form, or and you can't rewrite it. It's the old, the moving finger writes and having writ moves on. And you can't alter anything. So in terms of history, whatever it is, political, musical, literary, you're not going to alter anything.
No.
So just accept what has happened, learn from it, whatever it is, and move on. Don't keep on going back and it's very easy to look back now at fashion and laugh at it. Well, that's fine, but it was of the time. I saw a '74 Palladium show the other day, and the comedian had flares, the size of several sailors' flares put together, and hair permed under here and the whole look, and you thought, at the time, everyone thought that was normal. And footballers had that look as well, had that sort of, very, very long hair down on the shoulders and quite permed and what have you. And so, yeah, it was normal then. I mean, but we look back now and laugh. I mean, we could laugh at the period where everyone wore a periwig, and so I go out there and all the photographs where they had a massive wig on. What did they look like underneath? We don't know. But then, often the wigs, you bought them secondhand, they had fleas. So you had all sorts of problems, and you think, hang on, our parents had a go. My father had a go about me having long hair. It wasn't long. It would be like this, having long hair and wearing degenerate clothes and things like that. But when you look back at people he probably admired, who probably a century or two before, this great statesman that had worn wigs and what have you, and wore the most outlandish clothes. I mean, look at that thing where they went through a period where they had those big feathers, like macaroni, the macaronis they called them. I mean, and women wore hats made of animals we try and save now. Hats full of ostriches and leopards, all piled up here. It's extraordinary, but you can't go back and judge because it was a different era. I mean, I think
Definitely different, but there was a wonderful charm about it. Frida Lindstrom and Maria Bird, they were the Maria Bird. They came up with it. But what people also talked about the language that they used. If you remember Bill and Ben, it was a very simple premise each week, wasn't it? The farmer would go off, and then Bill and Ben, these flower pot men, would get up to a little bit of mischief, often helped by a little weed in the middle, and you then had to work out which of them was responsible for the mischief.
Yeah, was it Bill or was it Ben? And also that great thing of not actually saying any words. I mean, it's the old joke of Bill and Ben in the bath, isn't it? Blah, 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 blah. Was that you, Bill? No, it wasn't me. So they could get away with anything. The floblob thing, everyone bought it. Blah, 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 blah. They could just talk nonsense. It's a bit like Sooty. Sooty never spoke. Sooty went, and Harry Corbett could say what he liked. Gives him time to think, oh, yes, Sooty, what's that? Yeah, okay. Oh, no, Sooty, don't say that. I mean, genius. Sooty never spoke. Yeah, probably the most famous puppet in Britain for ages. Bill and Ben didn't speak properly, but the most famous puppets. Muffin the Mule didn't speak at all. Didn't say a word. It's quite interesting how you can get away with that with kids, into the world of suspension of belief, really.
Well, I know Peter Hawkins was the voice artist for that. What was called Oddle Poddle was the language that he used to speak. But he was also, Peter Hawkins also did things like the Daleks and various other things as well, and Captain Pugwash. Do you remember he used to do the voices for those?
Yeah. I remember all the alleged stories around the names in Captain Pugwash. I don't think really held a lot of water, no pun intended. But no, the Daleks are very clever as well. I mean, I think now and again you just hit upon something that works. And then in the end, of course, they had Daleks that could go upstairs, which rather spoiled it.
Yes, I'm not quite sure that's how you sort of run away from them all. It was, but they tried to bring these back. I mean, I invested in one of the companies that tried to bring Muffin the Mule back, and it came back for a little while.
Did you make any money out of that?
I don't comment. I think Muffin the Mule is now an offence. Another horse that I backed that didn't quite come home, but it's always a delight.
Well, you could have backed my theft of Bill and Ben. That would have been better. I mean, it would have been fun, because if my accomplice hadn't got cold feet, well, I was going to take them out for a day, photograph them at all these places, and then day by day say, we're on the run. We're at Big Ben. We're on the run. We're at Wimbledon. We're on the run. I thought it'd be absolutely terrific for comic relief. But I guess I understand why they got a bit scared of letting him out, just in case anything happened. What happens if we're going somewhere in a taxi, it crashes, and Bill and Ben shatter into 1,000 pieces? I guess, I don't know whether they were insured or not. I don't know where they are now, because that building is now demolished. So Bill and Ben will have been moved to somewhere secret. So now my chance is gone.
Who was your accomplice?
I can't tell you that.
Even though they didn't do a crime, there was no crime. You were just going to rope them in, string them
I
along.
can't tell you who my accomplice was.
Always.
They now have an important position, so I can't tell you who it was.
Is that right? It's got to be good. I love Bill and Ben. I love today's poem, The Confession. Mike Read, thank you very much for joining us.
Love, love, love.
You carry on. Bye-bye. So thank you again to Mike Read. And they always used to finish the programme with, and I think the little house knows something about it, don't you? If you used to watch Bill and Ben, all those glorious programmes, or just have a comment on the show, write to me at guests@octopustv.com. That's guests@octopustv.com. Don't forget, you can follow me at Andrew Eborn, at octopustv, and you can subscribe on all of the usual platforms. But for me, for now, thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.